Welcome back everyone to Data Science for Everyone. Today we're going to be looking at SQL where statements. So let's get started. So first off, we've been talking again about select statements and it being such a nice common task where we're going to be able to grab data, and now we're going to start to want to filter data, okay, by some record of some sort, okay, and that's where the where statement comes in. Now, we're also going to be learning a little bit of other functions where they come in to assist the where clause, okay? And so let's go on and open up some of our data here. So first I'm going to go on and create up. Actually, let me look and see where I hid my data really quickly. Okay, so from the previous video, okay, I'm assuming that you guys kind of watched that and grabbed our data from GitHub, and so you guys can watch that video, and I'll put a link up above and down below as well. So let's go on and open up that tab here, and let's see here. We want O'Reilly, and I think I'm just going to open up that whole thing here. And let's see what, yes, I do trust them because they are me. All right, and let's go on and select up a database. Let's go on and do our weather stations database today. I don't want to actually click it. I want to right click on it and open the database. Okay, and then we have our nice SQLite Explorer here. And let's go on and create a query function here. And let's just call this just this dash SQLite. And again, we are using SQLite, okay, for everything here. So let's go on and make up just a basic select everything from our station data. And let's see what we have here. Okay, let's make sure it's connected. All right, and there it is. So let me close that. And so now we can see here we grabbed all of our data using just our basic select statement. Now let's go on and use a where statement. So for example here, let's say, all right, so we have our year variable. So let's go on and say something like where year is equal to 2010. And again, I know from the schema that these are numbers, and so I can just go on and run this. And so notice here that instantly grabbed all of our 2010 variables. And now another thing we can do here is that we can use any type of sign, okay? So we can do something like we want everything but 2010, so that's not equal to 2010. Can run that and it gives us all the other years. We can do something like we want the year greater than 2010. Okay, there's nothing because 2010, this data set only goes to 2010, greater than or equal to 2010. Okay, we can do something like less than or equal to 2010, then we can also just do less than 2010 as well. Okay, now something that is very useful, okay, you can do something like, oh, you want everything that is greater than or is less than, or maybe let's say that is let's say greater than or is less than 2010, less than or equal to 2010, and then we can also do something like and year is greater than or equal to, let's say, greater than or equal to, whoops, let's say 2005. Okay, now this works, but this, to be honest, is very, very difficult to read. It's not very well in plain English. And so what I would suggest us doing is actually going through and let's go on and say something like year between 2005 and 2010. Okay, now this is inclusive, okay? So that it would grab everything, including those as well. And so you can see here that it actually gives us the same answers that we had before. Now this is, again, very useful because when you want to grab a range, and again, this sounds just like in plain English, okay? Select all, again, we need to learn how to say this star is all, from the station data database where the year is between 2005 and 2010. So that, again, that gives us a very nice way to talk about things. So next up, let's go on and do something. We've already done the AND statement. So let's go on and let's try using some OR statements, okay? So we want to maybe grab something like, we want to grab everything where the month, I think it's all lowercase, right? Yeah, month here is equal to, okay, they're in numbers, so we say 3. So we can grab, let's say, everything from March. Great. Now let's say that we want a couple different values, okay? So then we can use and I'm just showing you a different way to do this. So we can say or month is equal to 5, or month is equal to 9, or month is equal to 11. Okay, so we can run that and grab this. Now, this is grabbing everything from March, May, September, November. Great. But to be honest, this is not very efficient, okay? This also looks very terrible. But again, sometimes if you're just wanting to talk about it, fine. But there is a much better way to do this. And that is doing something like where month in, and then we give it kind of a list. So we want, what did we have? 3, 5, 9, 11. Okay. And so this is just saying, we're going to select this, every month that is in this level of months. So notice that is significantly less writing. It is also much more condensed, and you can go on and edit it however you want. So let's say, oh, I forgot to put in July in there. Okay, you can put that in there. Or maybe you want 4. I don't know. Again, this is just something that's nice because if you're connected up to the database and you guys are even in a meeting, you can even do this just by talking with everyone and say, oh, let's, maybe they say, oh, what is our first quarter earnings? Okay, well then you can say that you want something like, let's do this. So we want something like 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, our first quarter would be these guys, and so we run this, we got our first quarter earnings, but then let's say that they say, oh, well, we actually want everything but the first quarter earnings. Well, then we can go on and do not, okay? And this will negate. So it kind of flips everything. So this will grab everything except for January, February, March. So let's run that. And then you get everything besides these 3 months. Okay, and we can also leverage, maybe leverage some logic, okay? So let's say something like where month is divisible by 3. Okay. Again, why I don't know, but you can use this mod operator, and so saying mod 3 is equal to 0 means that it's equally divided by 3. So then we should get 3, 6, 9, 12, and if you can see here, we get 3, 6, 9, and 12 in here. Now let's see this. Okay, so great. We've done a great job at using numerical objects with and logical objects with this where statement. But you know what is fantastic is let's talk about using it with some text, okay? So if we see here, this report code has some text in there. So let's go on and say that. So something you can say, again, we're using this report code, and we can say is equal to, I don't know, I'm going to scroll down and just grab a random one for now. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it in here and run it. And so then we get this exact single report. Okay, this is great. And I'll grab another one in here and say something like, I think I know one is 513A63. You can run that again, and notice here we get that single report. Okay, that's very, very useful. But we can start using, again, some of our in statements, okay? So we can say you want to pull up maybe 3 different reports. So let's say something like in, and then we have a list in here where we say we want, I have some over here, 513A63. We want 1F8A7B. You know what? Let's add in one more in here, and do something like EF616A. Okay, so notice here something happened. Okay, so apparently I typed in one of them wrong. Okay, so I get these 2 reports. So apparently I typed something wrong with this one, so it didn't show anything up in it. So maybe let's say, oh, well, maybe my boss gave me the wrong report code, so it's not popping up. So I go back and I check the notes, and I say, all right, let's see, 1F8A7B. Okay, so I had this extra 8 in there, so if I run it, it pops up. Okay, we have our all 3 of our reports that we were wanting. And then here's another thing. Okay, now this is something about, we can talk a bit about some information quality. Okay, so these reports, if we look at them, should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They should have a length of 6. Okay, now I've been around in a lot of databases where, for example, they don't have strict schema, so that they don't give you an error saying, oh, your report code has to be 6 digits or 6 characters. And so then people start accidentally putting in wrong numbers, and it just has all kinds of issues, okay, with entity recognition and whatnot. So let's go on and let's say, all right, let's see if there are any mistakes that were made in this report. So we can use length. Well, let's do the length of the report code that is not equal to 6. So then we're just saying, are there any entities in this report? Are there any reports in here that do not follow the correct schema? Again, assuming that something may have gone wrong. So nothing pops up. Good. Okay, but again, it's highly likely that at some point in time there may be someone made an error, and that's the ones you can figure that out. Now I'm going to grab everything again. So another thing that we want to do is, you can think about this as if we're working with maybe a license plate database, or maybe you have a partial report code. Okay, and you say, well, that report code was or it started with A, and then it had, again, something else after it. Okay, so we use this percent sign here as a wild card, and it can be any number of characters. Okay, now we can also use a single character, and we'll do that here in a second. Okay, so but what we know about this particular report is that it starts with A. We don't know anything else about it. Okay, so then we can run this. Oh, and here is now all of the reports that start with A. Okay, now let's say that let me do one more. Let's say that you know that it starts with A and a 5. So it's A5. So if I put that in here, A5, and I run it, notice we get a lot less values. Okay, and so then maybe you can go through and then you can add in something else like a year, a date, or anything else in that matter. But we're working with text right now, so let's not worry about it. Now let's go and try one more, okay? So let's say that you know that it has a B, some character, you don't know what it is, with a C, and then you don't know the rest of it, okay? So again, this is why I always say, think about this as like a maybe a police database, okay, where they have everyone's license plate, okay, and then maybe there was an accident and someone drove away, and they said, well, I remember their license plate was B something C, and then I didn't quite get the rest of it. So let's see what that actually pops out as. And we run this, and again, now we have all of those that start with B have some character of some sort, whether it's a number or a digit or a letter, it doesn't matter, and then a C, and then it had something else behind it. Okay, so again, I'm hoping that this is useful for you guys whenever you're doing some searching. Again, we're just going over the basics today using the where statement. So let's go on and do a couple more here. Let's deal with some Booleans, okay? Now, Booleans are things like true and false. Now, inside of SQLite, we have a tendency to just use the numerical values, okay? So true is 1, okay? And false is 0. So let's do something like this. We have our station data, and let me see what we have here. So we have all of these, for example, fog, rain, hail, thunder, tornado. Okay, so let's say where we want to find a tornado is true and hail is true. Okay, so then now we have all of the values, all of the reports where there was a tornado and there was hail. Now let's see if there is a possibility of no tornado, so false for tornado, but yes, there was hail. Okay, so currently in our data set, we do not have any instances where there was no tornado, but there was hail. Okay, let's go on now, and again, I think you guys can kind of figure that out. So I'm going to go on and I'm trying to make this video a little bit shorter. But what I'd like to do is also talk about some handling null values. Okay, so again, so let's see here where snow depth is null. So we have a lot. Okay, now here is the kicker, okay? Always know what the purpose is, okay, of null values in your data set, okay? Sometimes null can mean that it's a proper missing value. Sometimes it can be that it's just 0, okay? So always kind of know what you want to deal with that. So again, is null is our key here, okay? So again, it is just the complete absence of content, okay? So depending on some instances, sometimes it's null, sometimes it'd be NaN, okay? Sometimes it's just blank. Sometimes they'll actually put in some sort of marker, and so that would be something like, sometimes they put in like 9999999 or negative 9999999, something like that. So always know how they deal with it. Preferably they would have it as a null value if it's a missing value. Let's also go and see if we can find instances, for example, and again, we're working with null values, please, where precipitation is less than or equal to 0.5. Excuse me. Precipitation is less than or equal to 0.5. Okay. Oh, it locked up for a second there. Why are you not wanting to work? Where's my precipitation at? Precipitation. There it is. All right, so we have precipitation. So notice here that it is less than or equal to 0.5. Now if I go all the way through, there's nothing here that really tells me if there's any null values or not, but we want to also assume and to include null values, okay? Because again, we assume that null values are actually 0, okay? In this instance, we know that at least in this data set. So then we can also say, or, and do something like precipitation is null, okay? And so I want you to kind of pay attention here. Look at the value here. This is 24,568, and that was just with the precipitation. If we run this again, notice this definitely got significantly larger. Okay, so now we have 27,131. So again, it did not. Null values are null. It's empty, and so then if you use any type of logic, okay, it's going to kind of ignore them. So if you want to include the null values, you have to say it explicitly, okay? Otherwise, you're gonna have a bit of a problem. Now, one other thing that is a little bit more of an elegant solution, because again, now you actually do have null values in your precipitation. Let's say that you know that when it has a null value for precipitation, it means that it is 0. And you want to actually show that inside of your values, okay? So whenever maybe you want to export this out to put it downstream in the pipeline, okay? So then you can use coalesce, okay? And we can do precipitation 0 is less than or equal to 0.5. So what this coalesce does, okay, is if it is a null value, it will give you back a 0. So this, if things go right, this number here, this value here should not change, okay? All right, I ran it, and it did not change, so good. Now it means that we don't have any null values. They've all turned those precipitation to 0. Maybe you want to actually see this in action, okay? Because again, nothing really changed for you. So I'm going to go on and change this to snow depth, and we'll say, oh, they do have 0.8 there, but let's say less than 10. Oh. Yeah, why didn't you do that for me? Let's have that run one more time, and it should run. Hold on one second. Let me double check. So anyways, I was being just a little bit silly. What we actually want to do here is we need to actually move this coalesce. If we, let me run this so you can see here, and the snow depth didn't change, and that's because actually this needs to be up in the select statement. Okay, I was being a bit of a bonehead when I did that, okay? So let's do something like, I'll just put it up here for now, and we'll say something like we want, I don't know, we'll do station number, station pressure, and report number, where, and maybe year. Let's put in year here. Oh, and this is code. Code year, where year is equal to 2010. Syntax error. Which one didn't it like? Oh, I have an extra. Oh, I need a comma right there. So let me pull this up so you guys can actually see it. And we'll do something like we want year. We want all of these bad boys from pressure. Okay, so let me run this, and now we'll see here that all of these is now 0 where this coalesces. And so we can say coalesce, and we'll say as snow depth. And so now it's actually just snow depth, so it's nice and clean. And let's say that we wanted to also get rid of these station pressure. No, we'll actually just leave it as this, okay? So now we've actually gone through and used this statement here. And we can say something like also where, well, now we'll use this snow depth, where snow depth is less than 0.5. Okay, and so again, we can reuse that coalesced variable to deal with the null values, and we can also go through and find snow depth that is less than that 0.5, and it'll also hold into those null values as 0. Let's go on and do maybe one or two more examples, and we'll be actually grouping conditions using the select statement. So I'm going to just actually clear all of it and do select everything from station data here, where, whoops, I said station data, where rain is true and temperature is less than or equal to 32 degrees, or snow depth is greater than 0. Okay, and so we run this and we see that we have our result. So what we're doing here is we're actually having multiple statements in here, but there is something that is a bit problematic, okay? And this is that we need to group our functions, okay? Because, for example, if we want, so just remember your logical operations, okay? Because again, if you have true and true, you get true. If you get true and false, you get false. So if we also have this or statement in here, we need to know the order. Do we want to do temperature and snow depth first, or do we want to do rain and temperature first, okay, before assessing that next step? So what we want is we want to assess where it rained and the temperature is 32. So then here we would put, we want to put parentheses around this, okay, so that it will actually run this first, so that it this actually gets rid of any ambiguity, okay, because it still does work, okay, but again, we want to make sure that there's no weirdness going on, okay? Now, it just so happens that these happen to work well together, but again, it is possible that you would maybe get something that you don't want. So I would highly recommend whenever you are running through and using these statements, okay, any type of logical statements, make sure and group them using the parentheses. So again, guys, I am finished up with the where statements. If you guys like this, please comment, subscribe, and hit that like button, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.